Welcome to On the Sidelines, the show that discusses sports and how sports intersects our lives. I'm your host, Paul McGrath, and I'm glad that you can join us for this show. We are going to be talking college hockey and where it, along with a college education, leads to one's after-college career. I am pleased to have as our guest Bill Riga, head coach of the College of the Holy Cross men's varsity hockey team, the assistant coach of the Holy Cross men's varsity hockey team, Bobby Butler, and two former members of the Holy Cross men's varsity team who are enshrined in the Holy Cross College Sports Hall of Fame, Jerry Curley, and joining us via Zoom, Pat Rissmiller. But first, I have to, in this age of transparency and full disclosure, have to make a couple of announcements. Number one, if you may have guessed, I am a graduate of the College of the Holy Cross. Number two, this jersey was given to me as a Christmas present. And so we are ready to go. And of course, unfortunately, I have never played a game of hockey, so we'll have to listen to these guys. So Coach Riga, we're going to start with you.
Sure.
Really, it starts with Westboro. I mean, you're a Westboro boy, grew up in Westboro. I don't know if you skated on Lake Chauncey or some puddle down on Milk Street, or just give our Westboro people a quick glimpse of where you went to school here and how you developed hockey.
Yeah, I moved here when I was 4 years old and went to school at Hastings School and up through Armstrong in the junior high school. I did not go to the high school, ended up at St. Mark's, and that was purely a hockey decision to further my career at the time. But played at North Star Youth Forum. It was the same birth years as the Campbell brothers, and we had really good teams growing up, and just coming up through the ranks, and a bunch of us actually made it to college and played a little bit of pro and did some okay things. Steve Tepper was another one of those guys at the time that made it to the University of Maine, and just coming back, I grew up on Milk Street my whole life in a small condominium, a family of four, and just loved every minute of it. So it's good to be back in the area after being away for a while.
Now, you mentioned Steve Tepper. He's been on this show. And the Campbell boys, did you play with Jimmy? Because Jimmy had quite a career.
Ed is the same birth year as me, the younger, and Jimmy's a year older than me, but we played on the same teams all growing up through 8th grade. Obviously, he went on to play for a while in the NHL, and and Edward played for the Ice Cats for a long time as well. I had a great career as well. So yeah, we used to have sleepovers at each other's house all the time, and one or the other, and just kind of a lot of street hockey too.
So Westboro has some pretty good memories.
Yep, for sure.
And Bobby, you're kind of next door in Marlboro. Is that where you grew up and started the hockey, or?
Actually, I moved from Leominster to Westboro for a year or two to live with my grandparents.
Oh, so you got Westboro connection, yeah?
Yeah, so I actually went to Hastings for a year. And then after that, we moved into Marlboro. So I'm in Marlboro, and I actually haven't left yet.
So where did you start skating? How did that come about?
I started skating basically with my dad while he coached Marlboro High. I think that's my first memories of getting pushed around by their high school players. They had to learn to skate. And I got a photo in the newspaper. I still have that. It pretty much started there at Naven Rink, I'd say.
And Jerry, you're kind of next door, Hudson. I mean, we're all kind of in the same area. How did you get into hockey, or what was your start?
Well, I'm back in the Bobby Orr era, which was fun. And my earliest recall is just being on the ponds in Hudson at age 5. I mean, the dads were so excited, and they had a great program in Hudson. They always had a good program in Marlboro, and Hudson were very competitive against each other. Bobby's dad, John, from Marlboro. We were just competitive and just started outside playing. Yeah, so I was in Hudson for my whole upbringing. Yeah.
So how did you get the Holy Cross?
Holy Cross. Well, actually, there's a Holy Cross graduate, Dr. Stewart, who actually I think there's an award that was given out, I think, to the captain of the team last year, the Jim Stewart Award. And he was my dentist, and he was from Hudson, and I just really respected him, and I think I went in there and I just said, I want to go to Holy Cross because of Dr. Stewart. Yeah.
So what do you get all the hockey players to come in and give them the teeth? Not a bad career choice.
Yeah.
And Pat, we're going to stretch a little bit from you. I think you're from Belmont. How did you start out in hockey? And give us a quickie on you.
Yeah, I'm from Belmont. Just grew up there, and my siblings played. Parents did not play, but I had a couple older brothers and that got involved, and I just kind of followed suit. And it was just kind of like these guys, street hockey, practice, pond ice, whatever you could find.
Yeah, and I don't, you look on the internet, and whenever I see anything on the internet, I say, well, is this true? I see on the internet, I don't know if you didn't make your high school team, or they said we don't want you on the team. What did they give you an incentive, or what happened? Is that true? Number one, and go from there.
Yeah, I was I think my sophomore year of high school, just public high school. I did not make the varsity. Definitely was a little crushed, but I was really small at the time too. I don't even know if I weighed 120 pounds then, but I don't know. That was the way it worked out, and I ended up staying another year, and then I left and went off to boarding school, and then that's where kind of things started to develop.
Yeah, very good. Well, Bill, how did you get into coaching? I mean, you're in hockey.
Yeah.
And did you ever think that was your career path?
I really didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
all you think about, I don't know if the same with you guys, but when you're growing up is you want to play hockey, and we went to school and studied and did well in school as well. And it led me to St. Mark's and then eventually to UMass Lowell. And after that, I went and played minor pro for like half a season, and it just wasn't for me. And I came back and I didn't know what I was going to do. Literally didn't know. Like I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's not leading more. I'm not going to the NHL.
Well, now
So,
if I look correctly, the minor pro was somewhere in Texas.
yeah, it was in El Paso,
How'd you ever
Texas.
get to Texas? I mean,
Just had an advisor,
Yep,
and
yep.
it was just what was the Central Hockey League and at the time, and just found a spot there, went down, and it just wasn't.
that wasn't.
It just, you get on a bus for 12 hours, drive to New Mexico, play a game, you only get on a bus back. We stopped at McDonald's for a post game. Like, that's the level of pro hockey we were at that point, and that just wasn't leading me anywhere. And I got to come home and get on with my life. And at the time, I had a connection to Peter Masters in Lexington, who was running the Junior Bruins organization, and they were looking for a coach to come in right away and step in because they had just lost their coach. And I just went up to a game at Phillips Exeter Academy one day and was behind the bench. And the next thing I know, I was meeting with him, and he was offering me the job to coach the team. And that's kind of where it all started in terms of getting into coaching. And I just fell in love with it. And at this point, I've coached much longer than I actually played. So I think I'm more of a coach than I ever was a player. But I've been in hockey since age 5. It's been my passion, and I've been lucky enough to make a career out of it. And I don't see myself getting out of it till the day I retire.
How did we get to Union College?
So I was coaching the Junior Bruins for 7 years, and the colleges would recruit players off of our team to go to colleges. And along the way, I met Nate Lehman, who was the new head coach at Union. He was at Harvard at the time. And he recruited players off of our teams. And then we just had a conversation over the years about players. And when that job came open, I applied and interviewed for it, and he hired me. Obviously, he's had a heck of a career with the World Junior team and Providence winning a national championship. But certainly was my first, mentor in coaching. And continue to learn a lot from him to this day. But that's where I got into at Union College from there.
So now that you're the head coach of Holy Cross, you've had various coaches, Union, Quinnipiac, of course, very successful there. Do you emulate or kind of take from these different colleges how to coach, or is it Bill Riga style, Holy Cross style? How do we?
I think it's what
is it?
The sum is made up of the parts, right? I mean, wherever I was, I played for Bruce Crowder, and then I coached for Nate and Rand Pecknold, obviously. And you get to these points where you just kind of take a little bit of what works everywhere and what's been successful, and you kind of mold it into one. And I find myself, it's funny, I was thinking about this the other day. I find myself saying things exactly like one of them would say it. like I said it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm being Rand now. I'm being Nate now. But there are things that just the way they're phrased, those guys have won a lot of hockey games, and the things they say I know are effective, and find myself at times directly quoting them in my style. And it's not just one way; it's all different ways from different people.
And how about you, Bobby? You're at UNH. I don't know how we got to UNH, and a tremendous coach up there, Dick Humley.
Yeah, he's a special guy. He was awesome. Him and the assistant coaches that I had were awesome. I definitely learned a lot from them. And like he said, there's a lot of good things and a lot of stuff that you learn and you want to keep. And then I learned every day with him this year this is my first really foot in the door and trying to see what it's all about.
Well, you're really doing a double header, I think, now. I mean, you're coaching Holy Cross, but you're also skating
No more.
with the rail. With the rail. I mean,
Retired.
Mike Myers and the railers do a great job in Worcester, I think, and you're doing double header here.
Yeah, no, that was a fun couple months, but it was cool to get back out there for my kids. They were only 4 and 3 when I technically stopped playing, so for them to see me play a few more games, I think was special to them and something that they actually listen to me and they saw for their own eyes instead of just hearing stories of
You really can skate, huh?
Yeah, I really can shoot the puck, really can score. So
now, were you drafted? How did you end up from UNH to I guess Ottawa?
Yeah, I was undrafted. So the day after our last game that we lost, just spent the day. There was some teams that were interested and just narrowed it down and eventually picked Ottawa by the end of the day, and I was off and running.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's jump over to Pat. How did you? I guess Holy Cross, a career at Holy Cross. And if I read correctly again on the internet, you were undrafted also. I mean, it isn't like you're at a draft party waiting to see who's going to pick Pat Rissmiller. What happened? What happened there?
I don't think I was on anybody's draft board at the time. Just played at Holy Cross and it was the right fit. I played a lot from the get-go, and Paul Prode was coaching us and did a good job. And as all these other guys, you always dream of playing pro hockey when you're a kid, or whatever you kind of like sport-wise. And just played. And late in my senior year, I guess there was teams watching me, and I had no idea. And then I got a call. We lost, and San Jose was one of the guys, scouts from there, came out and interviewed me, and had a little combine, and then they offered me a tryout with the Sharks at training camp. So, and that's kind of where it all started. But.
So we play out there with you played with some people, Joe Thornton. I think people might recognize Joe Thornton, Patrick Marlowe, some pretty good players. How was it playing with those gentlemen?
Yeah, it was great. I got the tryout, and then I started in the American League in Cleveland. In a small world, actually, Eddie Campbell is a former teammate of mine out there for a little while.
Yeah.
It just, I played in Cleveland for almost 4 years, and then got called up. I called up my second year for a few games, but after about 3.5 years, I finally kind of, I guess, made it, if you will. And those guys were there, Joe and Todd Marlowe and all sorts of guys. They were great guys. They're great people. Made everyone feel pretty comfortable just coming in. It was, just a great group of guys.
So now we're in player development with the New Jersey Devils. How do we get into that?
Yeah, I spent, I played for 13 years pro, and then I knew I just wanted to stay in the game, much like Billy. It just kind of pounded the pavement on some of the college openings I would hear about or see, and the pro stuff. I knew at the time I wanted to stay in pro hockey just because I liked with all the hockey, college and a little bit more than just the hockey going on, and I just kind of really wanted to be involved in the game, and got traction with the staff in New Jersey, and they hired me. I'd spent the 2 years previous playing in Italy, and then just kind of came home and transitioned a few months later into player development. So now I just travel around and I watch a lot of hockey.
So is there a type of person or player that the Devils, are looking for, whether it be speed, whether it be a big guy? What do you look for? Or is it you, just based on your knowledge of hockey? How does that work?
I don't really do the amateur scouting.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that really pound the pavement looking for the guys. I go in and watch the guys we've drafted. On a normal non-COVID year, the draft's in June, and then whoever we draft, they kind of hand some of the guys off to me and another guy that I work with, and we kind of mentor and monitor them throughout their amateur. Many go back to college or Canadian juniors or Europe. But in terms of what you're looking for, I think everybody's after, the same type of people. You want, obviously you got to skate in today's game, but you want competitive players too. The size, it's not like it used to be where everybody was 6'4". So that's a little bit different now, but you got to have competitive players and players that can skate and think the game.
Yeah. Jerry, I want to get into you don't have a hockey career, but we're going to get into your career. But again, on the internet, I see Jerry Curley graduates from Holy Cross, and then I see something called the Cape Cod Buccaneers.
Cape Cod Buccaneers. 81
and 82. Jerry Curley, second leading scorer. A guy named Fred Ahern, leading scorer. Played 146 games in the NHL. The Cape Cod Buccaneers, what's going on? I never heard of them. I mean,
well,
how did Jerry, what's that all about?
When Bill said what his career was, I started laughing a little bit. It brought back some memories. I undrafted, was invited to Whalers camp, and then in the middle of the season, the Eastern League camp, the team that I was on, the Buccaneers, failed, if you will, and then I had a short stint over in Italy, and I think during that time, like Bill, I knew I wasn't long for this world. Came back and was getting married, and I felt a lot of pressure at the time, and so it came down to I got 2 quick offers in banking and insurance, not in hockey, and I just said to myself, oh, geez, I can't be an insurance man. So I think I'll go into banking. So as you know, I was at a video bank where you were a trustee and a director.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the short story.
So just a quick story. The studio we're in, Westboro Savings and Hudson Savings combined about a little over 10 years ago. And the studio that we're in was a branch or the headquarters of Westboro Savings Bank. And then fortunately, through tax laws, etc., Video Bank was able to donate this studio to the cable TV. So it really was. We've all come together here somehow. But this is the studio. We are in what was once upon a time Westboro Savings Bank. And you were part of that, I think, to help that along.
Yeah, going back at Holy Cross, Mike Odessa was the coach my first year, and he was an aggressive coach, more of a football player, if you will. And as we know, he went on to RPI and won a national championship there. So, I mean, I feel like I wanted to say to Bobby and Bill that feels like we have a good local team now at Holy Cross. That's great. Peter Van Busker came in after 2 years and also coached at Holy Cross. We know he was very successful in the women's program. So with Peter from Hudson and Bobby and Bill, it just feels like we're headed in the right direction. And these 2 guys can bring us to where we want to go.
Well, if I may, I'll tell a story about Mike Odessa. Mike Odessa was at Holy Cross when I was there. And of course, he was I think, defensive lineman. He was a pretty good sized guy. And we were playing intramural basketball, which was big at Holy Cross. And the football team had a team. And so there was a loose ball that I went after, and I got the ball, and who landed on top of me? Mike Odessa. So I thought I was going to meet my creator. I mean, he was a good-sized guy. And I thought, well, at least I got a couple of foul shots. They call the foul on me. So that was my story on Mike Odessa. Yeah. But he was very good. He became, I think they won a national championship.
Yeah, he had Joe Juneau and Adam Oates.
They were on there?
Yeah, they're okay.
That helps, right?
That helps.
John Carter, they had some players on that team, for sure.
Oh, he was on that team too, yeah. Well, talking about teams, Bobby, personally, the Olympics, I'm one for going back to the old days for the college kids to play on the Olympics. You actually, in 2018, played on the U.S. Olympic hockey team. Yeah. Give us that experience.
It was unbelievable. Once I found out that there was an opportunity, I think I just put my foot on the gas and kind of got ready for that season. And at the end of the summer, I was training actually with one of the coach's sons, Scott Young's son, with Jeff Oliver, actually, who's been with Holy Cross forever. So I spent that whole summer working hard, and when he told me it's really up to me, I think I just kind of went with it and had a great year, and it was everything you can imagine and more. It was fun.
And that was that in China also?
Pyeongchang.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what was that
South
experience like over
Korea.
there? Yeah. Oh, South Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was definitely would have been cool if it was in like Canada or
Yeah.
U.S. But no, it was awesome. The village was amazing, and my family got to come over, so it was special.
Yeah. Well, you think on that team, and again, local, Scott Young, local player, local guy, he was the coach. Keith Elaine, Worcester boy,
Yeah.
head coach of Yale, who you remember some games with Yale, I'm sure, down in
Yeah.
Billy. He was one of the coaches. And you had Brian Giunta, John McCarthy, Brian Donato, and Chris Bork.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a New England touch to that Olympic hockey team.
Yeah, it was special. I roamed with Bork and McCarthy, and it was cool to go through that with them. Especially us three came from the AHL. We weren't overseas like the majority of the team, so it was special to have a close bond like that.
Yeah. Now, was there tryouts, or how did you, or just kind of pick you guys?
It was just all
Because it was
scouted.
kind of an off year for everything.
Yeah, it was just they just scouted everything. I think they didn't pick. I think I was the last pick, but they didn't pick me till right before they announced everything. And I think it was just, they just kind of do what they have to do and scout and see who's playing well.
Let's get back to Holy Cross and the players. Part of it is back when you four played in college, all of you went 4 years. Now I look at, especially basketball, in hockey now, maybe some of the colleges, you go 1 or 2 years and you're gone. How do we adjust for that, Billy, in recruiting? I mean, how does Holy Cross recruit? What are we looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's way more complex than that, even that. Because, I mean, now guys will sign after 1 or 2 years to go pro if they're drafted, and the rules actually encourage them to sign after 3 at the latest, or the team will lose their rights. But now they've done this. NCAA has just transformed itself into free agency, and players can transfer wherever they want to go after 1 year and go whatever school they want to go to. They used to have to sit out a year, and now they don't.
Oh, they can go right.
They can go right in and play now. So every year they have this transfer portal up. It's not just hockey; it's football and basketball, and you'll just see, in basketball you can lose half your team every year just to go to a different school, and you just have to adjust to that and recruit according to that you might lose guys and have guys there ready to take, in the future years as well that you can plug in. But we can also hit the portal ourselves and take guys that have a couple years experience. We don't have grad school at Holy Cross, so they have to be younger transfers. But that's all part of the adjustment of the landscape. In terms of how we recruit, I mean, we're just aggressive, and we look for players that fit how we want to play and what fits the Holy Cross culture as an institution and academically as well. And I think our focus is we want really good hockey players that want to stay in college 3 or 4 years, that have the passion and the work ethic to get better. We're probably not getting the 1st or 2nd round draft picks right now, so we need to find really good players that want to develop and have that passion to put in the work. And then we as coaches have to have a plan for that. How are we going to develop you? We can't just say, hey, we'll make you better. How are we going to do it? What's our plan? Extra ice, extra video, time in the gym, metrics that help us determine where your strengths and weaknesses are. So we're looking for a well-rounded individual. And I think for us, the key is great hockey players who are also great students, not just great students who happen to play hockey. We have to have all of that. But I think we've been aggressive with over 20 commitments here for the next over the next 2-3 years. So we've set ourselves up for success. We just have to invest in developing those guys before they get to Holy Cross, and then once they get there, put in an actual concrete plan to make them better. And as the years go on and all these guys develop, now we're able to beat teams that have players that stay 1 or 2 years. And that's sort of, in a nutshell, the plan on the hockey side to recruit and build the program.
So are you out there pounding the pavement, or is a lot of it on video? How do you find these players?
Well, yeah, I mean, as much as we can, we want to we have 3 assistant coaches, and 2 of them are able to recruit. I can recruit to go out on the road and see guys face to face. And there's just a feel to the game that and Pat can speak to that as well. Yeah. Like when you're there, it's a totally different evaluation than when you're watching on video. But certainly during COVID, the videos had to become a bigger part of that because we just weren't allowed to travel. The NCAA didn't allow us to recruit in person for about a year and a half.
Oh, so yeah.
Now we can,
Right,
and we
yeah.
are doing that again. But myself, like I was, at Quinnipiac, I was the recruiting coordinator, and I could go out all the time. And now I have more responsibilities here, so I had to hire my staff with guys that I can train, but also trust and have the work ethic to not worry about, hey, if I have to go to British Columbia this week, I'm going to hop on a plane and I'm going to go because that's what it takes to win. And it can't just be New England, and it can't just be it's got to be everywhere you can find a player that can help you and help your program. You need to be able to go and use your relationships in the business to help find those guys.
Well, you mentioned British Columbia, and if I read the papers correctly, there's a young boy named Owen Kim from North Vancouver, British Columbia, coming to Holy Cross. Did you go out to see him? I mean,
so
that's not too close to Westboro.
No.
Worcester.
Well, one of my assistants, Caston Summer, who actually grew up in Shrewsbury, and his dad was the coach of the Ice Cats.
Yeah.
He coaches the San Jose Barracuda now. Went out there on a recruiting trip and came back with this guy. He's a little bit like, he plays a little Brad Marchand style. He's like 5'8", 5'9", pesky, fast, competitive, takes some penalties. Here or there, we got to tone down, but he's a kid that came out on a visit. We flew him out and showed him what Holy Cross was all about and kind of explained our plan for him and how we see the program going. And he was all in. Like he was, whether he was from Worcester or whether he was from British Columbia, it's the same sell. The education and the culture and the location, but also our vision as a program as to where we want to go and how we want to develop him as a person and a player as well. And he actually had an incident recently where he was the victim of a racial slur. He's Asian in heritage, and so they've been doing all kinds of media out there about racism in hockey, and so he just went through that. We've been kind of counseling him through that, and it's just the game's growing, and you have to be able to go wherever it is you need to go to find players.
Yeah, I read that, and the game was broadcast, and it was the announcer, and they didn't waste much time. And
no, they took it.
It's a former announcer now.
They came right out after the period and took him right out of the booth.
Oh, during the game.
And he was gone. Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah.
It was an unnecessary comment. It was uncalled for. He was doing some of that stuff I was talking about, being pesky and irritating to other people, but then the guy just kind of went off the deep end.
Yeah,
it's just there's no place for it. But.
Yeah. Pat, we're talking about player development, and Bill was talking about video of being in person. How do you watch video and then say maybe you should do this, or are you in person? How does it work for the New Jersey Devils?
We do both. I'll sit down sometimes with the guys and we'll watch their video individually, shifts. Much like Billy during the COVID, he couldn't go anywhere, so we weren't allowed on college campuses or traveling up north into Canada, so he'd watch the video. I think like Billy, I think it's a good supplement. I think you do still need to see people in person because you see the whole picture, before the play, after the play, what happened, where he went to the bench, or his demeanor, body language. And also on my end, just developing a relationship with him, talking on the phone or via Zoom is not quite the same as being in person. And I'm sure, it's no different for college recruiting. You can talk to the person in person, or the player in person, and you get to know them a little bit better. And I think you have a better feel of that player in particular. So
yeah,
it's a combination for us.
When you go out to see a person, in particular, it means something to them that you flew all the way out just to watch them play. There's that that's part of relationship building is they feel valued and they feel important, and they have to feel like the person that's recruiting them is invested in their development and their future. So that face-to-face contact is invaluable, really, with that.
Yeah. Bobby, just get back to you. One thing I was looking about you is you scored your first professional goal against a goalie by the name of Hobby Bullen. And I remember the first Ice Cat game ever in Worcester, when the Worcester Ice Cats played. We talked about them. Hobby Bullen played for the Springfield Falcons, and he was the goalie against the Ice Cats in the first game. So there's always connections here that you can find out. Do you remember that first goal?
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget it. Yeah. I look at a picture of it in my office every day. But,
do you?
Yeah.
Of course.
I remember
It still went in the net. Yeah.
The puck's in the net. There's proof. So, yeah. No, I remember it. I look at a picture, like I said, and I gave my dad the stick framed
Oh, nice.
and signed it. Just said, "This one's for you." So it's with
That's
a
kinda
picture
cool.
of the goal. So it's burned in my memory forever.
How about you, Pat? I didn't find yours on internet. I don't know if they hid it or maybe you've got it somewhere. Any memories on that one?
I'm old enough. I was playing, I think, before all the crazy internet stuff.
Yeah.
The first goal for Cleveland, no, I'm not even sure I can remember, to be honest with you.
Well, how about San
I can
Jose?
remember my first NHL goal.
Yeah, that's the one that counts. Do you remember
Yeah,
that one?
that was at home. I think that was a nice feeling. Against Dallas and Marty Turco. So.
Oh wow! Well, you're a pretty good goalie.
Yeah. I didn't score too many, so I could probably tell you who all my goals were.
Yeah, that's good. How was it playing on the West Coast, the feel for hockey there? I mean, East Coast, we all grew up with it. West Coast, are they still getting into it? How did you see a difference playing hockey on the West Coast?
I loved it.
Yeah.
San Jose was awesome. The fans were amazing. The city itself was great to us. And, they obviously started out there, and then there's a big grassroots program. Our practice facility at the time, I think there was 3 sheets of ice, and there might be up to 4 or 5 now out there. And no, I love being out west, and you always knew what was going on out east because all the games came on at 4 o'clock out there, 4:30. Yeah. So you knew exactly everything going on in the NHL, and then the Sunday football started at 10 o'clock. So I loved being out there. The city was awesome. The fans were great. And everywhere. we go into LA or Anaheim. It was fun.
Well, what does New Jersey have for facilities? Is it what do they have? Something in New Jersey or Newark?
They're in downtown Newark now.
They're in downtown, yeah.
I don't know when they moved from the Meadowlands there, but the practice facility is right there next to the game rink. Basically, you just get dressed in the same room, and you basically go left to go to the practice ice or right to go to the game ice.
So it's right
which
there.
Is what many teams have gone to these days.
They got double equipment too. I played there for a little, and so they get double equipment even though you're in the same building.
So you're at the new building too? Yeah.
It makes it easier for the staff, obviously. So you just practice there, and then you'll get your game stuff on the other side.
Yeah.
They don't do that. I know you thought they had 2 locker rooms. They had a game locker room and a practice.
They go to
one locker room.
Yeah.
So they just use the main big room and they get dressed. But when I was in San Jose, we had the same. We had our practice facility basically across town. It was like about a 10-minute ride from the game rink to the practice rink. So for the equipment manager's sake, yes, you had a practice set of gear and they only moved sticks and skates, and then maybe you were using a new pair of gloves. But a lot of teams now, it's all in the same building. If anyone's building a new rink, it's usually you have your practice ice right there connected. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, the Bruins are
So
a little bit. The Bruins are a little bit out.
Keep that in mind, Billy.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
I said, so Billy, when you get the new rink, you just put the practice ice right next to
Yeah,
the game ice.
we'll build a practice one off the back. We'll just get dressed in a new locker room and go either way.
Well, Billy, there was no rink when I was at Holy Cross. Jerry, was there a rink at Holy Cross when you were there? Where did you guys practice?
Hogan was brand new when I was
right
when I arrived. So the existing rink, yeah, that was one of the questions I had over the last few years. I was excited at some point to hear that we may be moving divisions, if you will, from the Atlantic division or to the ECAC or somewhere. And I heard something about the hockey rink only being half a rink, and when we expanded, I was hopeful that we'd get a full one. But and then I heard that Quinnipiac got our spot. That was X number of years ago. So I don't know, Bill, if there's any plans in the future to.
Yeah. So what happened with that was, and I was at Union at the time, but UCAC was looking to add another team, and Quinnipiac and Holy Cross both had interest and interviewed for that, but Quinnipiac had the plan and the construction company and everything to say, we're building this tomorrow. And Holy Cross didn't have that set up, and it hasn't been built since yet. We've then, since now, have a plan to work on that. Yeah. But now our women's team is in Hockey East, so Hockey East may be looking to add another team, and now we have plans. And a lot of that, to speak to that, is a lot of things that go together. It's about building the program on the ice.
Right.
It's about, making the facility more viable for Hockey East in
Right.
terms of size.
Well, I think the fact
and there's a lot of things that go into moving. The budgets need to increase and things of that sort. There's minimums that need to happen to move to that kind of
Right.
to that level. So we're happy in Atlantic to an extent to build there, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, it seems like they've made a commitment on the women's side, and so you'd be hopeful, as you say, that maybe over time they may build in that direction. Yeah.
Okay, if we can, we're gonna go back a little bit here. My buddy Aiden here. Aiden, if you can bring up the first picture, we'll go back in history here a little bit. There we go. This was, I believe, Jerry, when you were inducted into Holy Cross Hall of Fame. Any memories of playing at Holy Cross? What the ice was like, games, and I don't know. Is that Paul Pearl with you, or who was that?
Yeah, that looks like Paul Pearl.
Yeah. How about the guy on the left?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time recognizing.
Yeah.
It was just a real honor getting inducted in. The thing that was special about it is Vic Rimkus, who was a football player. He was from Hudson, and I'll always remember he called me, and in a very excited manner, told me that I was inducted. I think he was more excited than I was.
That's
awesome.
So that's my memory of that. But it was a real honor, and I appreciate it.
So where did you actually play up at Holy Cross? They had the rink on the hill then?
Horgan. What did you say, Horgan?
Well, Hogan did.
Horgan? In
Hogan is-
Auburn?
The Hart Center would have.
Hogan? Oh,
was
yeah.
ours.
Oh yeah,
Hart
I meant the Hart Center.
The Hart
Sorry,
Center.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Hart Center. I played all 4 years there.
Well, when I was there, Father Hart was there too.
Yeah.
I knew Father
My-
Hart.
yeah.
I go back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the Hart Center is where we played.
Okay. So all your games were there. You never got to play at what would have been the Centrum.
We played in the Centrum maybe
Did you? Yeah.
once or twice. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think Holy Cross, when they build up, as Jerry was saying, would for capacity, did they have to play at the Centrum or?
Yeah, I think it's part of the package.
Not the Centrum. I'm sorry.
So I think renovating the
DCU.
arena we have
Yeah.
is part of it, and then playing
Yeah.
a certain number of games downtown,
Yeah.
depending on the opponent, I think would be part of the plan if we were to move leagues. It's certainly at the discretion of the league, but there's no concrete plan to do that. In terms of our schedule right now.
Are you all set with your players for next year now? We done recruiting? Or
Yeah, I
ready
mean,
to
we
go?
have admissions deadlines that
Yeah.
I keep trying to push them further and further. But there's also, the transfer portal thing gives us a little more time to add transfers in.
Yeah.
But our team is set. We have 28 roster spots, and we have those filled right now for this year.
Yeah.
But we continue to recruit for years to come, year round.
Okay. All right, Aiden, let's try another one here. We'll go back. Let's see if we can pull this one up. There we go. Number 12, Pat Rissmiller on the ice. I think you're on your way to a goal on this picture. I'm not quite sure, Pat. Thoughts on playing at Holy Cross? I guess you would have played it up at the Hart Center too.
Yeah, tough uniforms though.
Good. Feels like practice.
No, it was great. When I was not really heavily recruited by anybody, and I was looking at those NESCAC type schools, and Paul Pearl was kind of the most forthcoming, and so I was very happy to go. My freshman year coincided with their first year. They moved into Division I, which used to be the MAC conference. But at that time, it wasn't about playing Division I hockey. It was just about playing college hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. We had I don't think we played anybody outside of our league my first 2 years. And then junior year we probably did, but they weren't great games. We were in over our head at the time,
Yeah.
It's definitely come a long way since I was there. But we had a lot of good players, and and I got to play a lot again, and that's part of just development, and enjoyed the campus, the school, and everything a lot. So
But when you were
changed
playing-
a lot though since I left.
When you were playing, I don't know what year this picture was taken, but did you have thoughts of the NHL, or it was just the next game, the next year, let's play for Holy Cross?
No, I mean, I growing up, yes, I always thought I
Yeah.
was going to play in the NHL. But then, as you get a little older, you start becoming a little more realistic. And I think when I went to Holy Cross at the time, no, I'm not sure. I don't think the NHL was much of a thought. It just, play. I was playing college hockey. I was fortunate. There's not a lot of teams, and so I was happy to be playing. And the pro stuff came on probably later in my senior year. I had some East Coast teams that were talking or interested. and they wanted, after a season end, they wanted me to come down and play. But then I got a little traction with San Jose, and then when I kind of knew I was going to go out there for a tryout, and I didn't see any benefit to going to the East Coast at the time because it was going to be play on the weekends, and I'd be at school all week, and there was no ice. Once our season was over, the ice was gone. So I just didn't think it would work out very well if I was just kind of, doing my thing Monday through Friday, and then I go off and play. So that, came on late, and then I was, got the tryout in San Jose, which was great. But I was pretty oblivious to the whole process, just not having had an agent and not really knowing what was going on, which worked to my benefit. So I wasn't nervous. I was just out there to play hockey.
Doing your thing. Now, did you have the same coach all 4 years at Holy Cross? Who was your coach?
Yeah, it was Paul Pearl.
Paul was there, yeah.
And we had Paul was coaching, Terrence Butt, another alum, was his assistant. But it was, like I said, it was Division I, but Paul was the head coach. He was also coaching baseball at the time. Terrence, I think, was probably more a part-time assistant than anything. The budget wasn't there.
Yep.
I think it took him quite some time before they even actually got 2 full-time assistants. I know as the years went by, Paul did get a full-time assistant, but I think his second assistant was, part-time, making minimal money. And you can't do the grad student there either, right? Because there's no grad school. So a lot has changed. And actually now they have Cass Sommer, who I knew when he was just a little kid because his dad was my first professional coach.
Uh-huh. No, when we did the show on the 1984 Westboro High School team. They went to the state championship, and you mentioned Steve Tepper. Steve was on the team, so we had a show on that. And this was in the 80s, Bill. Westboro High School, the budget for hockey, 0. They didn't think hockey would develop people or character, and so the parents actually went out and had bingo games or whatever because it costs money for hockey. Yeah. And so hopefully Holy Cross is in the same way. The budget changes, and I think people see the value.
Yeah, there's a big investment now into hockey. Things have changed, and things are moving in a positive direction in terms of the alumni have been really great, like Pat and Jerry, and just everyone just kind of coming together to push the program forward. And it's taken big strides, budgetarily over the last 5 years or so. And now we have a new athletic director that just came in this year who has big plans for hockey. So we're headed in the right direction. We're building the team. That's kind of my thing. And then going out and raising money is another part of it. But certainly we're in a spot now where we have a plan of where we want to go and where we're trying to build it up to, the level where we can compete with the best teams in college hockey.
Okay, let's bring up another one. Won't be in a Holy Cross uniform, but it's going to be a college uniform. And see if you recognize that guy there.
Yeah, that's probably had to be my senior year because the first 3 years we played at Boston Garden.
Did you really?
In the Hockey East semifinal. Yeah. So this year looks like there was at what was called the Fleet Center. And that was me probably playing fourth line center and blocking shots on the penalty kill, taking face-offs. I don't even know why I would have the puck on my stick.
You had your head up.
Yeah, I had my head up. Well, in prep school, I was an offensive guy, and I got to college, and they were like, no, this is what you're going to do. And that's just how it works. But I had a great time. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Our goalie was Dwayne Rolson, who played for a long time in the NHL. Certainly great memories. I talk to my teammates still, my college teammates to this day. We text.
Well, one of your teammates, I believe, the first couple of years was the guy named Non Bazin. He's
Correct.
Doing okay for himself.
He was my roommate.
Was he really?
My sophomore year, one of my roommates.
Yeah.
And Eddie Campbell was on my team for 2 years too.
Eddie grew up in Westboro.
Eddie grew up in Westboro. So it's a small world, and Norm's a heck of a coach at Lowell. Does a tremendous job. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country.
Well, maybe Holy Cross will get to play UMass Lowell.
Not this year, but the following.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yep. So we have a home and home series in 23, 24, and 24, 25.
So how far is the schedule out already?
I have done 2024, 25. That's done.
It's out. So we do play UMass Lowell.
Yep. We play UMass Lowell 4 times over the next 3 years.
Aiden, we got one more, I think, there, don't we?
Oh,
look at that. They got the C. Got the C.
UNH.
So now, where did UNH play? You most of your games up. They have
right on campus. Yeah, Whittemore Center. Yeah, they shrunk the corners after I left. Wish they did it before that, but no, it was a big pond.
Yeah. So there you are. We don't know what game I got. That one was off the internet. You never know what you're going
It's
to
like
get. on
Cornell.
Cornell.
Oh, Cornell.
Yeah.
Good team there.
That restaurant in the back on the boards, I've eaten that many times.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it.
It's-
yeah.
Check out the
Coach
restaurant.
Umilli brought us there all the time.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. And he just, I mean, we've been fortunate here in New England. You had Coach Umilli, 28 years. You have Jerry York, Boston College, 28 years. And of course, you had Jack Parker at BU. Some tremendous coaches here. And now you got Norm Bazin and you're taking over. I think New England really does have, breed some pretty good coaches here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of high-profile programs that are attractive to great coaches, and a lot of that is because of those guys that brought these programs along. My old boss, Rand, started in a closet with a Division III team or a club team, and now 30 years later, he's in the Frozen Four twice and almost knocking on the door every year. So, those coaches who bring programs along kind of hand them off to the new generation, and it's been built up here, and it's one of the best areas in the country for college hockey.
Yeah, and for our Bruin fans here, we have a current Bruin that's went to Quinnipiac. And
Yes, and the leader in plus minus in the NHL on Colorado, Devon Taves, was
Oh, really? Yeah.
Quinnipiac as well. So,
Connor Clifton,
yeah.
was,
So
in
there's been
Bruins.
about 10 to 12 guys that we had there that have played in the NHL.
Yeah.
Those two guys have been there the longest and had the longest careers.
Yeah, because once upon a time, Quinnipiac and hockey, those two words didn't go together. But they're certainly
Yeah, no, people still
certainly can't say
pronounce
that
it.
now.
People still can't pronounce it right on TV. No, it was a heck of a 13 years, and learned a lot, and wouldn't trade that for anything either. But I was excited and glad to be here now and kind of bring some of that to Holy Cross.
Well, let's talk about Holy Cross. Last year, your first year, I look at the record. The record, not the best record, but I look at the games, and there were no games that it was 10-2 or Holy Cross would get beat 9-3. It looks like every game, Holy Cross was in the game. At the end of the season, we go to Air Force. We win 2 games at Air Force, and then we finished up Bentley. We win 2 games against Bentley. It looked like the team was developing.
Yeah,
Maybe through your assistant coach here. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's all Bobby. It's all Bobby. But I mean, I think what you're seeing is you take over a team that struggled the year before in a COVID year, and you're bringing in a whole new staff and a whole new direction, a whole new system of play, style of play, and there's just growing pains. And the first half of the year, not a ton of success, but played a really tough schedule.
Well, I
Played
look at the scores.
Boston College and Notre Dame, and
Well, you played Notre Dame out there. I
Yep.
mean,
it was a great experience.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the second half of the year, and this is kind of the point of the first year, is things started to take hold and started to turn and started to get better. And even the playoffs, we went to Mercyhurst, and I think we outshot them 45-15 and then 40-20 and lost in overtime. Like we dominated games. We just didn't have the scoring ability, the finishing ability, and the goaltending was a little bit below where we want it to be. And so we're working on those things. But you saw a bunch of guys become a team, and the process of building and the identity and the program took hold, and we got results the second half of the year. Still, 12 wins isn't where we want to be and I'm trying to win every game. I don't care. I don't care who's on the roster. Like we're going to prepare, like we're going to beat every team we're going to play. And it's never okay with me to lose games, but I am pleased that when you saw our team play at the end of the year, you saw what we were trying to do, how we were trying to play, and how we improved throughout the year. And we're just looking to maintain that and bring it to another level next year.
Yeah, because you look at the record and you say, oh my God, this team wasn't that good. But when you look at the scores and the end of the year, you say, wait a minute, something's happening here.
Yeah, and I think the first year, not all you can hope for,
Right.
but I think what you have to settle for in some cases, though it's not easy, is progress. And we definitely had progress. I mean, I think anyone who watched the team at all can realize we were a different team the second half.
There's a lot of those games at the start. If we played all those games again, I think it would be
Different story.
We ended up taking points off every team in our league at some point in the year, and that's our first year.
Yeah.
Without really, bringing in the guys that we're going to bring in, and I give the guys who were there a ton of credit because they bought in 100%. They worked every day. They were positive. They were welcoming to everything we tried to bring them, and it's a testament to the character of the Holy Cross student athlete and the kind of person that's there, and their buy-in was 100%, and they're going to be the foundation upon which all this is built. Those guys.
Is this system that you're playing, is this the Bill Riga system, or is this, hey, these are the players I have. This is the system we build. How do we do that?
So I had to decide if we were just going to go and play to what we have, or if we were just going to instill it and build it around that. And after 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks, it became obvious that we need to play our style, and then evolve into that and recruit to that and build it over time. And that's a little bit of maybe a lot of kind of how Quinnipiac plays, but also how Union played, and now how you see Providence play, and some of the stuff I got in college. And it's kind of a hybrid. I would say it's probably a little more aggressive. I'm more aggressive in terms of forechecking and transition and playing offense. But in the end, it was putting in the system first, and now we'll build around that, rather than just trying to create the whole thing in terms of the talent we had at the time.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, Pat, we'll have to watch Holy Cross here for some devil prospects. You never know. Billy's doing a good job here.
You know what? It's funny. I mean, every team's seen these days. There's nobody like laying in the weeds anymore. All the scouts, all the teams see, all the teams play. So even for these guys coming in, you got to pick the right fit. Where you're going to play, because if every NHL team sees every college team all year long. So it's not even really a matter of where you play anymore. It used to be a little different, I think, but like I said, everybody has video access, and everybody knows where the guys are. So, guys will come out of any school.
Is it schools, and do you see any difference still on the European players or the Scandinavian players? It used to be, well, they don't check, they don't do this or that, but they could skate. Any difference there? Or it all blends together somehow?
I mean, I think that it's different in Europe because they play on the bigger ice. It is definitely, I played over there and Bobby has, and I watched the games, and I've been to Sweden. It's a very different game, but the ice is so much bigger. So I think any of the guys coming over, it's usually there is an adjustment period to playing on a smaller ice surface and a little more physical game.
Any of you have a comment? Do you like a larger ice arena or a smaller if you had your choice?
I'll let Bobby answer that.
Yeah, no.
Well, and when you played,
even when we were at UNH, we would go into BC and we'd be warming up, doing warm-ups, and we're banging into each other because we're used to the big ice, more space. And then I played over in Europe and Sweden, and it was so defensive. Like, you could beat a guy, but then you had 9 guys around the net. You had no chance to score. You had to do it on the power play. So I like that. I like the NHL rink. I like that size because anytime I would shoot the puck, I feel like you have a chance to put it in the net.
Well, how about when you played for the Olympics? That's a larger ice surface, isn't it?
Yeah.
So did your coaches say we have to adjust to a larger?
Yeah, like our
surface?
game plan was just based on the bigger ice and then who we're playing against. Really, I was a PK guy, so I just kept it on the outside.
As a coach, you have to adjust. Like, we played at UNH this year, and they have an Olympic sheet, and then we play at our rink, which is a smaller rink.
Oh, so there's no standard arena for the colleges.
It's kind of crazy because you can't imagine watching a basketball game on a huge court and then a basketball game on a small court.
You think there'd be standard?
You know what I mean? A football field is bigger somewhere else. It's just not the way it works. But I prefer to coach on a smaller sheet. It's just there's a lot of different adjustments you need to make on a bigger sheet that I think slow the game down. It widens it out. It's not as tight checking. It's not as physical. Doesn't seem as fast. You'd think that a skilled player would want to play with more space, but Pat, you could speak. A lot of them don't. A lot of them like to be on a smaller sheet.
Yeah, I mean, you have way more time and space on the big ice, but they did that with when the NHLers were going to the Olympics. They moved it into a smaller, the NHL size rink. The big ice slows it down. You can't forecheck all the time. You end up, and you'll see that, Olympics previous years, like, you can just stand there and trap. You chip the puck in and you just wait for him to come out. And that's kind of how it was in some of the games I played, and I'm sure for Bobby too. There's a lot more time and space. It is easier on the body.
Yeah.
But you want some action and more scoring and stuff. It's in the smaller sheet.
Okay, well, we're doing a Holy Cross show here on hockey. I think we have to show one video here. This goes back to March 24th, 2006. And Holy Cross made the playoffs that year. And they were a number 4 seed. They're playing in North Dakota, but they were playing a team called Minnesota,
They were
who
the
had
16th
Phil
seed.
Kessel.
They were the 16th seed.
Yeah, they were the 16th seed. They were out there just to fill a spot, and they played Minnesota. The game went to overtime, and we have a guy named Tyler McGregor, I think. Let's see this. This is where it's the Holy Cross. Here we go.
No call. Matt Burke falls down. Coming out of that corner, Ryan Patoli lost it. Burke is able to get it ahead to McGregor. Here comes McGregor in over the line on the left wing side. Try to throw it out in front. They score!
That was a big one.
My brother was in the stand for that one.
Really? A number 4 seed or 16, as you say, Billy, had never beaten the 1. And here it is. This was in North Dakota. You said your brother was there, but it sounds like everybody from Worcester was there. I mean, the crowd was for Holy Cross.
Well, they hate Minnesota.
Yeah, North Dakota
So
hates Minnesota.
you could wear a Holy Cross hat or shirt into any place in North Dakota, and they would still they know what it was.
Yeah.
They still remember that game, and I think after the game, some of the players and maybe the staff went into a restaurant to eat, and they got a standing ovation from the North Dakota people. Like they hate Minnesota that much, but that right there is what we want. Like we want
That's the goal.
We
That's
want
the
to be
goal.
on national television. We want to butt heads with those teams.
Yep.
We want to be a national hockey program, and getting to that stage. And we're not just going to be happy being good in our league. Like we want to be a national name. We have a national level school. We want a national level hockey program, and it's going to take some time, and we're not there yet. But we're laying the groundwork here, and I'm positive we can get there.
Yeah, I'm sure we can. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you for being on the show. We got Bobby Butler, Bill Riga, Coach, Jerry Curley, Patrick Rissmiller.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being on the show. And this is Paul McGrath saying, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you at the game. And if you're not in the game, we hope to see you on the sidelines, or maybe at the Hot Zone.